You ever walk away from a conversation replaying one sentence you wish you hadn't said? That half joke that got a laugh, but not the kind you wanted. We all do it. We hide our nerves behind a punchline. We use humor to feel safe, when what we really want is to feel seen. There's a kind of laughter that connects people, and another that quietly builds a wall. Most of us never mean to cross that line, but we all do sometimes. And maybe that's okay, because every awkward moment, every misplaced joke, is a small invitation to learn a softer kind of strength, the strength of kindness. If you stay till the end of this video, you'll get to try something simple, something I call humor with a heart, a way to laugh that heals instead of hurts. It's not theory. It's something you can practice today. For now, take a second and just notice what your humor protects you from. Write it down if you want, not for me, not for the algorithm, just to remind yourself. Write, I want my laughter to lift, not cut. Because that's where this begins, with one honest line and one small choice to use your words differently. I once told a joke that landed like a rock in a quiet pond. You could almost hear the splash of awkwardness spreading through the room. People smiled politely, that kind of smile that tries to cover discomfort. But their eyes looked away. And right there, in that gentle silence, I learned something I probably should have known all along. Laughter can either build a bridge or break one. That moment changed how I understood humor. Until then, I thought being funny meant being fast, quick enough to get the last word, clever enough to win the room. But sometimes, being sharp just means someone else bleeds a little. I wanted to be liked. I wanted to lighten the mood. But what I really did was make someone smaller, so I could feel a little bigger. That day I decided to learn a different kind of laughter, the kind that heals instead of hurts. I began to practice what I now call humor with a heart. It started at work, a cross-functional call. Engineers, designers, marketing folks. You know the kind. 15 rectangles on a screen, 12 muted microphones, and one problem everyone's pretending isn't their fault. The tension was heavy. A deadline missed, voices tight, smiles stretched too thin. And in that thick silence, I cracked a joke, a little too pointed, a little too personal. It got 2 laughs and one long stare from the person I'd unintentionally mocked. For a moment, I felt clever. Then, I felt small. After the call, I sent a message. Hey, I think I tried to be funny at the wrong time. I'm sorry. She replied, Thanks for saying that. I knew you didn't mean it, but yeah, it stung a bit. That was it. No drama, just honesty. But it woke me up. I realized my humor had become armor, something I used to protect myself from tension, from fear, from being wrong. And I started wondering, what if humor could do the opposite? What if it could soften tension instead of hiding behind it? What if laughter could make people feel safe, not targeted? A week later, we had another call. Same team, same pressure. But this time, when the tension rose, I tried something different. I turned the joke on myself. I said, well, considering I'm the guy who thought last Tuesday was Wednesday for half the day, maybe I'm not the best timekeeper here. Everyone laughed, including me.
Not at anyone, but with everyone. And in that moment, I understood what humor was meant to do. It wasn't about being witty. It was about being with.
That moment stayed with me. It changed how I looked at every conversation afterward. I began to see how often sarcasm gets mistaken for intelligence. It's quick, yes. It's clever, but it's not kind. And sarcasm, if you look closely, has this strange habit. It drains the trust out of the room. It says, I'm above this, when what people really need to hear is, I'm with you. Real humor, the kind that heals instead of harms, isn't about being above. It's about being beside. It's the sound of laughter that wraps around people, not one that cuts through them. That's when I started practicing a little experiment, something I now call the 24-hour Kind Humor Challenge. Just one day. No sarcasm at all. None. Not even the playful kind we hide behind phrases like, I'm just kidding. No jokes at anyone's expense. Not coworkers, not family, not even yourself in a cruel way. Instead, I gave myself 3 tools. Simple, practical, and easy to remember. First, self-irony, not self-deprecation. It's fine to laugh at your quirks, but don't attack your worth. Say, looks like my coffee needed more effort than I did this morning, instead of, I'm useless without caffeine. See the difference? One brings people closer. The other quietly lowers your own light. Second, we humor. Humor that includes, not excludes. Jokes that remind people they belong to something shared. Try saying, guess we all forgot to unmute our brains, instead of, some of us didn't get the memo. It's a small shift in words, but a big shift in energy. And third, gentle icebreakers. Keep 2 or 3 kind lines ready for moments when the room feels heavy. Little smiles that say, we're in this together. Try this for 24 hours, and you'll feel the difference, not just in how people respond to you, but in how you feel inside. Because humor without cruelty lightens you first. A few days later, that challenge got tested in the most familiar battlefield of all, home. It was a Friday night dinner. My family gathered around the table, tired from the week, half on their phones, half listening. Our dinners usually came with a side of teasing. Who forgot to buy milk? Who burned the toast? Who takes forever to tell a story? All harmless, right? Until you notice the smiles start fading a little faster each week. That night, instead of teasing my son for being late, I said, you made it just in time for my world-famous overcooked pasta. He laughed. My wife laughed. And the tension, it just dissolved. The whole meal turned lighter. We talked about weekend plans, old memories, funny moments from years ago. No one felt small. Everyone felt included. And I thought, maybe humor is like seasoning. A little kindness makes every flavor brighter. That dinner stayed in my heart for a long time, because it showed me something I'd missed for years. People often think warmth makes you weaker, that kindness somehow softens your edge. But the truth? Warmth gives humor its strength. It's what makes laughter linger, not just in the room, but in the heart. When you laugh with someone, not at them, you're telling them, You belong here. You're turning humor into empathy, and empathy into connection. A few weeks later, I got invited to speak to a group of volunteers, beautiful souls, people who gave their time, their hearts, their weekends, but who were tired, burned out. Compassion fatigue had crept in quietly, the way exhaustion always does when love runs too long without rest. I knew I couldn't start with advice or statistics. The air in that room was heavy with seriousness. So I began with a story. I said, when I first started volunteering, I thought I'd be the one helping others. Turns out, half the time they were helping me remember where I park my car. A small ripple of laughter moved through the room. Faces softened, shoulders relaxed. We found common ground, and from there, everything opened. It wasn't expert to listener anymore. It was human to human. That's what good humor does. It's not decoration, it's connection. It's the gentle bridge between hearts that forgot they're on the same side. You see, kindness and laughter share the same root. They both begin where ego ends. Because as long as you're busy trying to look clever, you can't make anyone feel safe. The next time you want to make people laugh, ask yourself one simple question. Am I lifting us up or pushing someone down? If the answer is up, go ahead. If it's not, pause. Because the most memorable jokes aren't the ones that make people laugh the hardest. They're the ones that make them smile the longest. Let me share 3 small reflections that helped me along this journey. First, humor is never about words. It's about intent. The same line can heal or hurt. It all depends on where it comes from. Second, gentle humor requires courage. Anyone can get a laugh by being cruel, but it takes real strength to make people laugh while keeping their dignity intact. And third, good humor is a mirror, not a weapon. It helps us see ourselves clearly without cutting too deep. One day, a colleague came to me after a meeting. Someone who used to roll her eyes whenever I mentioned that no sarcasm thing. She smiled and said, "You know, I actually tried it." I dropped sarcasm for a day. My husband told me I sound nicer, but I feel stronger. Stronger. That word hit me. Because she was right. Removing the edge didn't make her weaker. It made her voice ring truer. And that's the beauty of humor with a heart. It doesn't dull your wit. It sharpens your humanity. It reminds you that the sharpest tool isn't the tongue. It's empathy. So if you'd like to try it for yourself, here's something simple. Make it a habit, not a challenge. For the next week, drop sarcasm completely. Replace it with gentle honesty, or with self-irony that lifts instead of cuts. Keep 2 or 3 kind, light lines in your back pocket, something to soften tension in meetings or family dinners. And afterward, ask one person you trust, "Did I make anyone uncomfortable?" Then listen, really listen, without defending yourself. Because the goal isn't to be perfect, it's to become more aware. Do that for 7 days, just 7, and you'll notice something remarkable. People will start to relax around you. They'll open up faster. Conflicts will dissolve sooner. And you'll start enjoying conversations more, not because you're funnier, but because you're kinder. And maybe that's the secret we've missed all along. That kindness doesn't weaken laughter, it gives it meaning. Every time I speak to a group,
I remind myself of one line I keep in my journal. It says, "Let your laughter leave people lighter." That's it. That's the whole philosophy. Because when humor carries warmth, it becomes more than entertainment. It becomes care. It becomes a small act of healing in a noisy world. I still think about that first awkward joke, the one that fell flat, the one that taught me humility. Not with regret anymore, but with gratitude. Because it showed me something no success ever could. Humor without kindness is just noise. But humor with a heart, that's music. And when you learn to laugh in that key, the world listens. Tomorrow may never come, but today is here, waiting for you to live it. And maybe, just maybe, to laugh a little kinder.